Hello, welcome to to my channel Dunka Tech. Today we're gonna be going over this topology. Um, we're going to explain all the steps that I took by having my map here on the right side, um, which is method of procedure. So this is one of the best way to start like building topologies and so and Canada. Let's say sorry, I think I just my brain spaced out for a minute. But let's go ahead and and do these. Let me see, the camera is rolling. Well, okay, so this topology is it's about redundancy. It's about that if one link is shut down or something happened to one link, the whole network keep running, as usual or as it's intended to be. So I didn't put a lot of redundancy. I could have put 3 on each device, but I only put 2. But just before I go step by step of what I did, I want to say, well, this is like the internet, right? I took that. I mean, I configured this as an internet, and basically, the ultimate goal is to be able to ping here and to be able to have like inter-VLAN, which I can ping from this PC, right? From this PC to this PC from different VLANs, yeah, and then I chose a router to be the DHCP server, and we implemented the DHCP relay too, to be able to learn or to allow the DHCP server to distribute all the IP addresses. And yeah, that's basically it. Basically, like it's about redundancy. As you can see, like we have point-to-point link. In here, the opposite, the upper routers, they don't have redundancy due to I chose an old version of this router, so I was supposed to have a more modern router in order for me to add more interfaces, and, and stuff. But okay, let's start. So as you can see, I have VLAN 10, VLAN 20, VLAN 30, VLAN 40. VLAN 10 is management, sales is 20, engineering is 30, and guest is 40. So if I were to configure and create this from scratch, it's gonna take a long time. That is why I'm just like going, over this with my map. So let's go ahead. So first thing I did, I built this topology by designing it. I put 2 L3 switches, 2 routers, 3 routers, 4 L2 switches, right? Well, we start by the routing configuration. So we start with the point-to-point link. So let me see if I'm recording. So point-to-point link. This is very important. Point-to-point link is important because in order for us to be able to reach these bad boys right here, we need to have point-to-point connection. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So that's what I mean. That's how I started configuring the topology. So as you can see here, I call this ISP, Internet Service Provider, right? So I say ISP to R1. So I say enable. Just not for me not to lose the, like I don't know, the routine. So enable config T, right? So let me put it right here next to me. So as you can see, config T, we went to the interface gigabit 00. Why? Because we have it here. This is the one that is coming out from the router. So we said, hey, also before I did all that, I already like assign or put the IP address. So whenever I go back and forth, I'm not like guessing which IP address or IP network I am dealing with, So interface G00, I say IP address 10.10.55.1.1. So I assign the .1 to this one, to G00. Then I turn it on by typing not shutdown, Then I said ISP to R2. I did the same thing, but to its network. Here we have 255.1, and here we have 255.2. You see, so I assigned the 1 to this one, not shut down. Then we went over router 1, which is this one. So router 1 is gonna go router 1 to ISP. Interface gigabit 0/1. We assign the number 2 because we already assigned the number 1 to the ISP. And remember, by us doing this summon mask, we are basically letting the system know it's like it's point to point connection. Basically, we only have 2 usable hosts, right? Let me see if I'm recording. 2 usable hosts, so that's why we use 252, which is slash notation 30. And as you can see, R1, G01, then G0, right here, G00, which is this connection to the layer 2 switches. I didn't put the caption here. I mean the subtitle, the H2, let's say. I didn't put here, but yeah, basically like I'm assigning the IP address from both sides. You see G/1, G/0/0/0. So I assigned that. So basically I finished configuring the router 1. Then I went to router 2. I did the same thing, configure both sides. As you can see, so fast forward. Then here we start dealing with the L3 switches. Here we say L3 switch 1, which is on the left side. So we said interface fast internet 0/1. So we said, hey, no switch port. That command is very important. When we said no switch port, it's basically, hey, I'm not a level 2 switch no more. I'm a layer 3, sorry. So let's start routing. You know, we want to use IP addresses. So I assign the 10.0.1.2 because we already assigned the 10.0.1 to the routing one. You know, and then I said not shut down. So I turned that on. Then I said IP routing. So we can start. You know, so in order for the layer 3 switch can understand, like, you know, turn into a router kind of. You know, oh yes, like a router. So then I went to L3 switch 2, which is on this side, did the same thing. You know, we assigned the number 2 because we already assigned the number 1 to here. You know, no shutdown, IP routing, no switch port. That's very important. If we don't do no switch port, it's not gonna connect. You know, IP routing. So in here we start doing the bundling, basically the Ethernet channel, which Ethernet channel is like kind of like trunking. You know, but the difference is like trunking and Ethernet channel are like they goes hand in hand, but they're different. Like as far as I understand, it's like Ethernet channel is bundling cables or interfaces, so the bandwidth can increase. You know, as opposed trunking just allowing multiple VLANs to be carried by one interface. You know, so maybe like if you're doing trunking, doesn't mean that if the interface goes down, it doesn't mean that trunking is gonna like create another VLAN or another interface. You know, so it looks the same, but it's not the same. So basically, we're doing Ether channel here. So we're taking, let's say, a 4 and 5. So we know that this and 4 and 5 is two interfaces. We're taking them both. Interface range fast internet 0/4-5. No switch port. Once again, I don't think I was supposed to do that no more because I already said it. You know, so it was like an unnecessary step right here. So this is the normal configuration. Channel group 10 mode active, right? As you can see, mode active. So they can find each other, and then no shutdown, right? You know, I don't want to go over it, but you know, it's active passive. You know, so we're doing the LACP configuration. LACP is, yeah, I think that's how it's abbreviated, which is Ethernet channel. So Ether channel, sorry, I keep saying Ethernet channel. So interface port channel 10. So now that we did the channel group, so now we are saying, hey, there's no more interface range of interfaces 4 and 5. It's only one. And it's called now port channel 10. So let me go into interface port channel 10, and let's say no switch port because I'm gonna be using router ports. So then I created like my network address that I'm gonna be using here, IP address 10.0.5.1 on this side. You know, so not shut down. So we already like took we took two interfaces into one, which is the whole idea of the project. So it can make, you know, so it can have redundancy. So not shut down. So we did the same thing on the other side. Interface range, you know, we took 4.5, no switch port, channel group 10, mode active, no shut down, interface range, yada yada yada. So boom, we finished right there. You know, so basically we have two, yeah, you know, it's the same thing I did on the left side, I'm doing it on the right side. So I did a side note here. I said layer 2 Ethernet channel, trunk, carry. Oh, it's like, you know, it's what I just explained to you guys. Layer 2 Ether channel is like trunk carries VLANs. Layer 3 Ether channel, no switch port, gets an IP route network, you know? So as you can see here, it's talking about like Ether channel and trunk. So basically, you see how it's two different things? Trunk is another thing, and Ether channel is another thing. So basically, they're having Ether channel, so the trunk, and then like allowing multiple VLANs in an Ether channel, which becomes one port, and then so it can have redundancy. You know, if one interface goes down, like it's not interface, it's one port now, but you know, previously there were two interfaces. So it's gonna say, hey, you know, we only have we still have another port or interface, and yeah, so let's keep running. So that's basically like, you know, so layer 3 Ether channel, no switch port, gets an IP routes network. So SVIs, config for VLANs. So switch visual interfaces. So L3 switch 1. So basically here we are saying interface VLAN 10. We just creating the VLAN right there. Interface VLAN, not the VLAN, we're creating the gateway for the VLAN. Interface VLAN 10. You know, and in here I already organized how I was gonna like distribute the VLAN's network address. So, you know, interface VLAN 10, IP address, you know, I'm not shut down, IP routing, you know. Again, I keep doing IP routing, but I'm not supposed to do it no more because I already did it the first time, you know, earlier. So you see interface VLAN 10, 20, you know, so we only have two VLANs here, 10 and 20, that's why we stop right there. And then we named it at the end. We can do it in the beginning, but I just did it like that, VLAN 10, we enter, we set name management, you know, name management, name cells. So when doing all of these, you know, we have to remember that we are working here, you know, like simple as that, like config t, VLAN 10, you see, and then we say name. What was the name that I put? The name that I put was management, you know, management. Boom, you know. And then we can say do show IP VLAN brief. Do show VLAN brief. You can see like all the names that I apply. You see, so, but yeah. Let me see real quick. Enable show VLAN brief. Okay, there you go. I was like, why VLAN 10 doesn't have its intended like ports? You know, I'm like, I was getting scared, but it was a little bit scary. So yeah, so I kept, you know, did the same thing on the other side. Let me drink a little bit of water. So the same thing on the other on the other side. No shutdown interface VLAN, you know. So basically, once again, switch visual interfaces, you know. So we did that, you know, name engineering. So why we're doing switch visual interfaces all for the inter-VLAN? If we don't have a switch inter-VLAN interfaces, we aren't going to be able to communicate from one department to another. And you know, we can do it in the old way, in the old way, which is having like a router, multiple routers for multiple VLANs. So, but that's annoying because like we want to have like 4 routers in order for us to be able to communicate among those VLANs, you know. So L2 switch VLAN access port. So now we're gonna forget for the L3 switches. Now we're gonna go work in the VLAN access port. So you know, interface VLAN, you know. So all of them have the same thing. Interface range for first internet 02 to 3, switch, you know, switch port mode access, and then switch access VLAN 10. So basically we're saying like only basically we're saying like interface range 2 and 3 only belong to VLAN 10 only. That's it, you know. So this is like right here, like we're applying like security right here, you know, like not everybody can just like come here and get here, because I was saying like we're putting that as an access port, so turning into an access port. So we did that with every single one, you know, access port, L2 switch 2, you see, interface range, switch VLAN. Then we went to this side, did the same thing. When we did the LACP config leg side, which is like the, I think that's a right now it doesn't get, I remember what this is a for, but this is the ether channel. So basically, what we're doing is like, let's take the L2 switch one. We say we're taking 1 and 4. You see 1 and 4 right here, and say switch port mode trunk. So we're saying, hey, you have to be willing to take this, so become a trunk. So channel group 1 mode active, not shut down. Then we once created interface port channel 1, which you already bundled the 2 links to port, switch port mode trunk, and switch port trunk allow VLAN 10. You see? So basically we made these like the 2 port, it became port channel 1. So if 1 port is down, still gonna keep running. With the same thing with the other one. So in here, like I think switch port trunk cancellation DOT 1Q. This happened because basically like the console told me that CLI told me that I cannot do that without letting, like, you know, without saying this. Basically like some of them allows you to just put switch port mode trunk, but some of them don't. You know, so when that happens, you just put switch port trunk cancellation DOT 1Q, which is like naming. You know, it's like naming or tagging. It's like an attack. It's tagging like the interface, saying like to be able to identify like which working as a trunk. Interface port channel 1, same thing. Then we went to the other side, as you can see. Oh. Sorry. No, actually we were working on L3 switch 1. So we took 2 and 6. We target, you know, to be able to, you know, differentiate, because like this, like L3 is doing other stuff. It's like communicating with this router, communicating with here, communicating with this one too. So basically switch port trunk cancellation DOT 1Q, switch port mode trunk. So we put in this, we setting up this to be able to receive like multiple like VLANs. Channel group 1 more active, interface per channel, same thing. Apparently we're supposed to put this when it's in L3. You know, it's basically like saying as a sub interfaces, but not, you know, we have to do this, like it's gonna try to put this command on the, when we're doing router on a stick, you know. So internet summary, the same thing, right side, same thing, as you can see. Forty, interface 1.4, L2 switch 3, you know, keep doing the same thing. Switch port from encapsulation DOT1Q, that's in L3 right here, VLAN 40, you know, VLAN 40, and boom. So let's see right here. So this is like L3. So it's like, let's say show Ethernet channel summary. Enable show Ethernet channel summary. You can see port 1 is right here on top. Port 10 is right here. Port 1 is this one on this side. Port 2 is on this side. You see. So basically, as you can see, S as in layer 2, and use and R is a layer 3, and then you see like perfectly working. And then write them up. You see, that's why this is alarm. It looks simple here, but it's not that simple. So then we did the spanning tree configuration. We went to L3 switch 1. We did this config T, enable config T spanning tree more rapid, you know, PVST, 1020 root primary, and then we went to layer 3 switch 2, the same thing. And then in all L2 switches we did this. Config T spanning tree more rapid PVST. We took interface 2 and 3, which is the same in each one, 2 and 3, and we set port fast. And then we enable this. So basically what this saying is like, hey, if I get host, if host keep connecting to me, the port is gonna keep forwarding information, you know. But as soon as a different device, like a switch, a router connect, it's gonna be put in air disable mode. So basically it's gonna shut down. It's like, hey, I'm not dealing with you. So like this is what it's got in BDU guard. So it's basically identifying which are hosts and which are not hosts, you know. So after After we did all that and point-to-point connection are working and we did the LAC, then we start working with the OSPF. In L3 switch 1, which is right here, we say config T router OSPF. So I named the router 11111, router ID. So I'm advertising my network address and then saying, hey, I have 2 VLANs here. I have VLAN 10 and VLAN 20. You see, and then we did a wildcard mask. It's 3 because we're dealing with the slash notation 30, which is what, 252? 252 minus 253 equals 3. So then we went to the other side, router ID 222. Let's advertise the same network. Hey, this is my network. This is who I am, so you can get to know me. Sometimes I'm letting you know this is me, and I have 2 tenants. That's how I see these 2 tenants. I have tenant 30 and 40, and then we went to the upstream router, OSPF config. So right here, R1, say, hey, router 333, right? Say, this is my network, 10.0.1.0. They don't have no neighbor, they only have themselves. So this is the only neighbor that we are advertising. There's only themselves. They live by themselves. So then we have in the L3 switch 1, we also need to learn the network. We didn't add it. I'm supposed to add it here, but just put it here like so. We can do it step by step, and so we're gonna get confused. And then R2 do the same thing. Call it router ID 444. I say, hey, my network is 10.0.2.0. Wildcard mask 30, and then we aggregate this network to the L3 switch 2, so you can learn it, right? So. But then, if everything went correctly, it's gonna create a adjacency, So once create adjacency, it's like, oh, we're good. So static default route on R1. So basically, we're saying, hey, if somebody if somebody is getting to R1, saying like, hey, I wanna get to this one, I say, hey, I'm gonna, basically it's like I'm gonna connect anyone. Like if I don't know nothing, I wanna say like go to 000 to 000, but go to 10 255.1.1, which is this one right here, which this is the internet. The internet is gonna find anybody. So then the same thing on this one, go like if basically somebody asks me, I wanna take you to, boom, right here. Basically, like if I don't have a route on my table, my routing table, I wanna take you to my neighbor. That's actually like way together. But and then ISP started route back toward enterprise VLAN. So we added this IP route to the ISP. So we said, hey, you have to know VLAN 10 and 20 by your neighbor, which is that 1.2, which is this one, next hop. Then the same thing on the other side, next hop too. You see, L3 switches learn those default routes through OSPF. So in R1 R2, we're gonna say, hey, default information originate. So basically we're saying, like whatever I know, you should know, and then like what basically like on this both sides, basically saying like they learning all the networks. Let me see how can I put it, because show IP route. You see right here, so via 1051 that 5.1. Basically saying like it has a default route, by this one, but that's because this one said so. This one's going to this one, so it's giving you the green light to say that I can show you stuff. So let me see. E2 OSPF is in a type. So basically like it's learning a route without having to be connected to. Like I'm learning its route without being connected to that one, but by this one. You see, I'm learning a default route by this one. So I need to configure the default route here because of the having this beautiful command, default information region. So here, this far we already done inter-VLAN routing, OSPF, started default route, default advertising to OSPF. So then we created the DHCP server. The DHCP server I created, like I didn't make one out of the whole topology. I mean, outside the topology, I just choose one router. So I choose this router, So we went to the CLI config T. We excluded like all the VLANs. You see, all the VLANs and 92, 220. Boom, boom, boom. The VLANs. Let me see. Wait 1 second. Yeah, we excluded like these VLANs. In the gateway. Boom, boom, boom. And then we create IP DHCP pool management, so we can like distribute IPs to this VLAN address. So we set this network since the 10.0.255, so the default router is gonna be its gateway, and then the DNS server is supposed to be, this one, which is Google. Then with the same one with the others, you see by its network. Boom, 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 boom. And then here we did the DHCP relay. So in R1, intent IP is 10.0.11. So we have to have that in our mind, and we're gonna go to interface VLAN 10 to say, hey, let me help you out. So this is the boss. The boss is gonna give you, what you need. So IP help address 10.0.11. So without things on the pool, I say, hey, I need an IP address. It's gonna send you all your IP address. I know somebody that can give you an IP address. So we did that with all those. So L3 switch 2 owns VLAN 30 and 40, but the DHCP service on R1 on the other side. So that's okay. So basically, how we're gonna get IP distributed to decide if it's on the other side. But thank you to the OSPF and what we did earlier. They know each other. They're neighbors, so they are good. So interface VLAN 30 IP helper address, helper address. So then we do the show IP DHCP binding. So basically, look, if I go here and go here, static, you can see like how it's working. How it distributes. It's a corresponding address, and I think if we go here and do enable show IP DHCP binding. You see, we can see like how the IPs are distributed. So to IP, DHCP. Cool. So you can hear that you can confirm how everything's distributed. These addresses to the address 4. Yeah. So then we went to the LLDP. So that is covering network protocol. So we did the config to each one. So then basically this is like to show like which port is connected to which, very simple. And then here we apply the ACL access list procedure. So here we can see block guest, because we have like a VLAN called guest, So the guest is not supposed to be able to go to management, sales, and engineering. So it's a block VLAN 40 from reaching management VLAN 10. Ideally, I'm supposed to, to deny access to all these three VLANs, but it's only the one. So config T. So we went to the here. So it's an IP 192.168.40, which is this one. That is trying to go to VLAN 10, and this is the wildcard mask, which is like 24. So permit IP any. Because without it, the ACLs implicit deny will block everything else. So now we're saying like deny only this one, but permit VLAN 30 to work, and permit VLAN 40 to go to VLAN 20, VLAN 30, but VLAN 10. So and then we go to interface VLAN 40, right? We say IP access group gets block in, so block inbound, right? So then show access list, show IP interface VLAN 40. So let me see right here. So show access list. See deny IP VLAN 40 going to to VLAN 10. You see, and then this is a standard IP access. It's a standard ACL. But basically, like you see how it goes 10 to 20. Basically, it goes from top to bottom. First it denied this, and then second it allowed this. Because even if it allows anything, then this is not gonna work. So hierarchically, this is how it goes down. And yeah, that's basically it. So hopefully this video is not long, and see you in my next video. This is Dunkar Tech.